if you are using your compost right here directly in your garden, like you're using it as a growing medium or a planting substrate, anything like that, then that is the most inefficient way to use your compost. And that's really a kicker whenever you take all the time and effort and, you know, maintenance into making high quality compost. So today I'm going to show you guys the most efficient way to use your homemade compost. Today you'll understand why I say most farms only need to focus on making one pile of compost per year, and that's all the fertilization on most farms. And you're about to find out how and why today. Now, before we get into that, if you want to learn how to make your compost, if you want to come to a composting class that's hands-on, like a hands-on demonstration, come out to Kentucky Sustainable Living Festival. It's in mid-July. All the details are linked down below. But before 4th of July, there's a 25% discount on your tickets. All the information is down below. It's in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Awesome, awesome event. Jason and Shelly, I just did a live stream with them a couple of days ago. Go check that out. It's on my channel as well as Kentucky Sustainable Living. But with that being said, let's get into compost extracts. Next, let's go over the materials you're gonna need. Obviously, some high quality compost. It's way, way better if you make it yourself. Store-bought compost, just don't even bother with this video because there's no microbial life in store-bought compost. So you have to make it yourself. You can team up with some people if you want to, but high quality homemade compost. Check out one of my previous videos if you want to learn how to make compost. Super simple. A lot of people overcomplicate it. It doesn't need to be. You're also going to need a mesh bag. This is a jelly strainer or jam strainer. You can use a paint strainer. You can also use like a 400 micron mesh bag. Just make sure whatever mesh you use, the mesh is smaller or bigger, always bigger than 400 microns. Anything smaller than 400 microns, then you start filtering out the good guys, like the microbes that are good, as well as their predators and stuff like that. And we want all of them. Everything in the compost we want in the garden, so no smaller than 400 microns. Next, you're going to need some water that has come down to ambient temperature. This isn't actually my bucket. Actually, my bucket is over here. But you're going to need a bucket of water that's come to... Where'd it go? Here it is. You're going to need a bucket of water, which I accidentally spilled some compost in mine, that has come down to ambient temperature. So whatever compost temp you have in the center is about the temperature you want of the water, so that way you're not shocking the microbes. Like if it's coming straight out of the well or coming straight out of the tap, then it's a lot cooler than what it is outside, especially in these summer temps. So fill it with a bucket and then let it come down to, come to ambient temperature, as well as like city water. Let's say you're using city water. Leave it out overnight, and you don't have any filters, leave it out overnight and a lot of this stuff will off gas. And then once you can like smell the water and you don't smell any chemicals, chances are you're pretty good. Also, a lot of the humic and fulvic acids, which you'll see here in a minute, is going to lock up a lot of that city water contamination. So yeah, ideally you'd let it just sit out, but you're gonna be doing that anyway to let it come down to ambient temperature. That plus the compost, you should be pretty good if you're on city water. So, and then also you're going to need a watering can, just whatever watering can you pick. Just make sure that the holes, again, like if you're using a sprayer or whatever you're using, make sure none of the holes are smaller than 400 microns. And if it's under pressure, make sure nothing bends at a 90-degree angle. It can be a swooping 90, but it can't be a hard 90, because all those microbes are just gonna splat up against that hard 90 and then they're gonna die before they even make it to your garden. Remember, we're dealing with living organisms, so you gotta take care of them accordingly. All right, so now let's talk about how we make the compost extract. So right here I have a bucket of compost. The only reason it's in a bucket is because after I use it in the extract, after I extract all the microbes from it, I'm going to dump it back into my compost pile to become re-inoculated, because like it's not a one-time use with this stuff. Like this stuff is viable in like peak perfection for about 3 months long. So during that 3-month stretch while this is like good to go, I'm gonna keep on re-inoculating things. I'm gonna inoculate as many things as I can, and whatever I use in this extract can be re-inoculated. So that's really the only reason it's in a bucket. But I'm gonna take my jam strainer and I'm gonna turn it inside out, and I'm gonna put my hand in there, right? And I'm gonna grab a handful of compost, and I'm gonna try not to get any debris in the part where my hand is, which is going to be on the outside. So that way, like if I'm running it, depending on what I'm running it through, like the watering can right here, I'm trying not to clog up the holes in the front of it. So remember, I'm just wanting the organisms, not everything that comes with it. Now there's already debris in here because I accidentally spilled some compost in there, Try not to make that mistake. But now I'm gonna move the camera closer because I want you to see the change in this water as soon as I dump this compost extract in there, or this bag of compost in there. And what's really, really cool is that this is the process that like locks up a lot of the city water contamination. And this is, you'll notice that like, well, you'll just see, look at this. As soon as I dunk it in there, this brown liquid starts, this light brown liquid starts just coming off the compost. And while it's in the water, I'm gonna, you know, dunk it up and down. I'm gonna massage it gently. I'm not gonna squeeze the juice out of it or anything like that because that's just gonna kill the microbes. I'm just gonna massage it gently and try to break up, just massage everything within the bag. But all that brown liquid coming off is the humic and fulvic acids right there. And I'm gonna repeat this process 2 to 3 times. And every time I'm done with this bag, I'm gonna go dump it in my compost pile, and it's gonna get re-inoculated there, and then I can use it over and over again. And at the end of the 3 months, when this is all spent, then I can apply it directly into my pastures or my gardens or my orchards or food forests, whatever it may be, like only on the decline of the viability. So that was just one bucket. I'm just gonna squeeze it gently, try to get some of these organisms out. Then I'm gonna go dump it back into my compost. But look at that color change with just one bag, like just under the water, you can barely even see my hand. And then repeat the process again. I'm gonna use my gloved hand, grab some more compost, and carefully try to get it on the inside again. And now I'm just gonna re-inoculate it. Or not re-inoculate it, but dunk it in the bucket of water again. Now, you might be thinking, okay, cool, 3 handfuls per 5 gallons. That's the inoculation rate. Not true. So this liquid I have right here can be diluted up to 20 times and used as a soil drench, it can be used as a foliar spray, but it's not going to be as effective as compost tea because the organisms aren't given a chance to create glues or anything like that. The only thing I'm doing with this extract is just stripping off the microbes and suspending them in water. I'm not letting them replicate, I'm not letting them grow or anything like that. Compost, the difference between this and a compost tea is that a compost tea is put into like a aerator, a bubbler, and then with the added oxygen and everything in the movement, you're exciting the organisms, and you're also given a food, which is causing the organisms to start reproduce and replicate. And this is over like a 12 to 36 hour period of time, and you're letting them replicate or reproduce and all that stuff. And that's not what we're doing here. Compost tea is very, very difficult to get right. Compost extract is very, very simple. And the only benefit of a compost tea is that in that reproduction phase, they've developed glues. They're gluing themselves to inorganic material. And whenever you use it as a foliar spray, they're going to stick to whatever you spray it to. Or you could do compost extracts, save yourself the headache, but just do like 2 to 3 times the applications on your orchard. So maybe instead of maybe like 3 applications in your orchard or in your garden right before rain events one year, you're doing maybe, 6 to 9 applications, but they're way faster and way less headache. Y'all, compost tea and getting it right without it going anaerobic is very, very difficult. Just keep that in mind. Not to say you shouldn't do it, it's just get this down, get compost making down, and then worry about the teas. All right, so with that said, that is all inoculated. This and this bag and this bucket right here are both gonna get thrown back into the compost pile, and then we'll resume. Oh, and a little pro tip, everything we're using here, it's best to immediately wash after you're done using it. So your bag, immediately wash it after you're done using it, your watering can, your buckets, all of it, so that way you don't have to deal with biofilm. These microbes wash off easily with water before they dry into biofilm. With biofilm, you'll have to use a detergent to truly get it off, and the downside of biofilm is that you're going to be skewing whatever additives, biological additives you use in the future. So clean everything as soon as you're done with it. That's what I'm going to do with this mesh bag real quick. So instead of adding the compost back into this cage right here, you could add it to any newer compost, like stuff you're waiting on curing. You could add it to that pile instead and kind of speed up the process and hurry up and inoculate things that haven't quite developed yet in the newer piles. So there's a little pro tip there. That being said, let's go ahead and apply it to the gardens. All right, so now that it's all suspended in liquid, we have a bunch of organisms right here just suspended in liquid. And now we're going to add it to, now another quick tip real quick, this extract does not have a shelf life. Like if you make it, you got to use it within a couple hours of making it. Otherwise the organisms in here are going to use up all the oxygen in the water, and then they're going to start suffocating and go anaerobic. So this has got to be a thing. Like if you have to go somewhere and then apply it, then transport it in the compost form. And then once you get there, then make everything. This stuff has no shelf life. So that being said, let's go ahead and pour it into our water container. And keep in mind, this can be diluted up to 20 times, but I have so much compost applying it to a small location. I'm going pretty intense with this stuff. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna hit is my hard stand area. I've got a little bit of everything over here. I got cucumbers, I got oregano, I got sugarcane, believe it or not. I got blue bonnets, and then a whole gang of comfrey in these pots. Just a little heads up, I'll have some comfrey for sale, whole comfrey plants for sale here in the future, as soon as these guys get a little bit bigger. And then I got, I think, cucumbers. All right, so those are good to go. And if you're wondering, like, can I overuse this compost extract? No, you could do this every watering for your plants. You're gonna have way stronger plants because of it. Now what I'm gonna do is take this stuff and I'm gonna start watering the garden with it. So these are my tomatoes. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna get the whole plant. Since it's not raining anytime in the forecast, which would be beneficial if I was applying this somewhere that doesn't get watered. It's not raining anywhere in the forecast anytime soon, so I might as well get this stuff attached to the surface of these leaves before they get washed off. Oh, I'm out, gotta get some more. Now you also might be asking yourself, like, all right, how often do I have to do this? Is this just a replacement for store-bought fertilizer? And I would say that's a pretty good question. So, in ideal conditions, if you don't create any more anaerobic conditions or compaction and you apply everything in the right timing and the right season and all that, this is a permanent fix. This shouldn't be something that you have to do year after year after year. This should be like a one-time, one season, 1 year thing if you do this correctly. As long as you don't create any anaerobic conditions or compaction. Also, if you don't use any like chemical sprays or anything that would kill the microbes, salts, anything like that, then you should be good as well. So the tomatoes are good. And remember, I can repeat this process. Like ideally, if I do everything correctly, then I only have to do this 3 times max with the everything's appropriate. Now, I can also do it as much as I want to, because I have a ton of compost. I have a very small garden here at the house, so I might as well do it all the time. Think of it as like an army. So the first wave, a lot of them die, but they gain a little bit of ground. They gain a small foothold. Second wave, a whole bunch more survive and they get a bigger foothold. Third wave, they completely conquer the whole area and you're good to go. So that's what's going on with the microbes. It's basically that in the soil. So with as much compost extract as I add this year, I'm not gonna need to do it to this garden next year. Now, if I was applying this stuff to an area that did not get irrigated, like a pond or like a field, not a pond, but like a field or a pasture or main crop or anything like that, anything that's not irrigated, then the best time to add this stuff is right before a rain event, 3 times during the spring. So 3 separate rain events, 3 different applications right before the spring. But since this is an irrigated location and there's no shortage of water hitting this spot, I can do it whenever I want, as long as it's not, freezing temperatures outside and whatnot. I mean, this really could just become, now this is also important as to why you filter and make sure you don't spill any compost, because look at that, all those holes are clogged. But yeah, and in that case, you can just do a soil drench. You don't have to sprinkle it. You can do it however you want to. The important part is that you just get these organisms into the ground. And guess what? Especially when you apply it to the surface of these plants, whenever you harvest these plants, or if anything germinates within the soil, when you harvest these plants, all that beneficial biology, all that good biology goes into your stomach, into your own system, which is the real health food, not the stuff that you buy at the store. Last little application, and I'm gonna add it to the potatoes that are about ready to harvest anyway. It's not gonna do a whole lot of good for them. And also keep in mind, be patient with these guys. A lot of the time, unless you're just doing it insane amounts, a lot of the time you're not going to get noticeable results that first year. It's that next spring when things start planting. That's when you start noticing like your results and stuff like that. That's when things start changing, because it takes time for those organisms to start like developing a colony of organisms, of beneficial good guys, especially if you've been using bad practices at first. It's going to take a little bit of time to, or if you have really, really poor soil, it's going to take a little bit of time for that stuff to, you know, change on over. So give yourself like until next spring before you say, oh, this stuff doesn't work, or saying this stuff does work. I applied it to a garden. That's the example I showed you. But this same exact method could be used on any system that's growing. So your pastures, your row crops, your orchards, your food forests, all of those things, your seedlings within the house, everything will benefit from being watered with this compost extract. So some mistakes to avoid. We've already covered a few of them in here, but I'm just going to recap them because some people don't hear them the first time, which is perfectly fine. Neither do I. Ask my wife. But first thing you want to do is make sure you have good, high quality compost. If you have crappy compost, then that's exactly what you're going to be spreading around is crap. So make sure you made it yourself. Make sure you use a hot composting method, so that way all the bad guys have been killed, all the weed seeds have been killed. Use a hot composting method, and then make an extract, and then also make sure that compost has come down to ambient temperature before you start doing anything with it. Otherwise, you're using it before it's ready. You're not getting the best bang for your buck, and all you have to do is wait just a little bit. I'm gonna sit down here because Texas heat has been something a little crazy lately. Side note, it's not like, it doesn't seem normal this year. It seems like I'm in a microwave this year. It's real weird. And then like the complete lack of wind right now is bizarre. Usually there's a pretty windy season for Texas, but anyway, that's all besides the point. We all know what they're doing. But another mistake to avoid, so first one, don't use bad compost because you're going to be spreading bad guys around. Second one is don't use bad water. So a lot of people think like, pond water is going to be a great additive to my compost and my gardens and stuff like that. And that is the classic permaculture answer. It depends. It depends on how healthy that pond is. If you have a natural swimming pool and it's super clean, super healthy water, then for sure add it to your gardens and stuff. But if you're going to like yeah, it just really depends on the pond, stuff like that. Try to just use rainwater. Rainwater is absolutely the best. Even everything that comes with the rainwater, it's still the best option we have. Even above well water, especially at the end of the summer on the well water, because there's concentrated minerals and nutrients within the well water that most of us don't test for. So make sure you have good compost, make sure you have clean water. Don't apply in dry conditions unless you have an irrigated system. So make sure your water's, like whatever system is irrigated, if you're not applying it right before rain events. Or if you're applying it in an area where you can irrigate, maybe irrigate for a short period of time, just so the microbes can get established until you're done applying extracts and everything. Other than that, there aren't really a whole lot of areas where you could mess up. This is the most efficient way to use your compost. You're stripping the organisms off the compost, you're suspending them in water, you can dilute it up to 20 times, and then you can apply it, you can use it as a soil drench, and you can do it as often as you want. Let's say you just enjoy doing it. You can do it every single day if you want to, and your garden is only gonna get better. Your orchard, your food systems, everything is only gonna get better. Other than that, just sorry I've had a long absence from YouTube recently. I've been on the road doing consultations and visiting my parents and stuff like that. But if you want a consultation, hit up the email down below. Come out to your property, give you guys a game plan, and then you'll have me on retainer afterwards for any questions that pop up during your homestead journey. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.